Hi everyone, we are the team for ASDPlayDate, and my name is Yuqing Du. I'm a master student from ECE department.
My name is Peiwen Jones. I'm also a student in ECE Master of Engineering.
My name is Ian Roth. I'm a speech language pathologist who works primarily with young children with autism.
Well, for our goal, the ASDPlayDate, the app targets parents of young children with autism spectrum disorder, and the parents can use this app to find other children with the same problem. And also the app can instruct them on how to arrange and carry out the playdate that can be most beneficial to the children's improvement of social skills.
Now let's move on to look at our block background. There are major 5 blocks in our applications. Firstly, parents can store their children's profile in our database. And after that, if they want to search a new friends for their children, and our application will fetch data from database as the input. And after computations by the server and the algorithms, we will return new friends as the suitable playmate for them. So after that, they can decide the itinerary and also send an invitation to their friends through our server. What's more, our application also provides a chat module for the parents to communicate the details of the playdate. So it's time for our demo.
Okay, so to demonstrate our app, Yuqing and I are going to play the roles of parents of different children with autism spectrum disorder, ASD. All right, so as a parent who has been given a lot of advice that I need to set up playdates for my child, this app has come in really handy. So initially, when I first logged on or when I first registered with this app, I was asked to create a profile. Immediately, I was asked for a nickname for my child, which as a parent makes me happy because it means that I don't have to put any identifying information about my child online. The rest of the profile is then going to be used to find suitable, compatible playmates for my child who live nearby. So now that I've created a profile for my child named Superman, or nicknamed Superman, I'm going to look to find friends. So I click the Find Friends button, and I see there are a list of different children in the area who the app has found for me. This child in the middle called Batman seems like a really good match for Superman. It shows that there's 80% matching, so this seems like a really good match. So this is somebody that I'm pretty optimistic is going to make a good playmate for my child.
And I'm playing for the Batman, by the way. Yeah.
So now that I've got a child in mind, I'd like to create an itinerary that's going to allow me to set up a successful play date. So I'm going to go down to the itinerary button, and I can create a new itinerary, but I've already started to work on one. I've called it Batman versus Superman. So if I look at that, I've got some books, some snacks, some turn-taking activities, and some free play. I like these activities, but I'm not sure about the order. I think what I'd like to do is have free play happen last. So I'm going to hold down living room, which is where the free play was going to take place, and I'm just going to slide it down. I'm just going to slide it down. Yeah, there we go. So now it's in the order that I prefer. So now that I'm happy with this, I'm going to look at the visual schedule. So I click on Visualize, and I see I've got an image of the book, an image of snack, an image of the puzzle, an image of the ball game we're going to play, and an image of the living room where we're going to have free play. So this visual schedule will allow me to stay on track, to be predictable for my child and for his friend, and also to help the children to know what's coming and to allow them to make transitions more seamlessly, which for children with ASD can be really difficult. So now that I have an itinerary planned, I'd like to invite Batman to come over. So I click on New Invitation, which allows me to select a location, choose a date, choose the friend, of course, and select the saved itinerary that we can then send. Now, I'm not going to do that right now. Instead, what we're going to do is Batman's mom is going to send a request to me so that you can see what it's like to receive one. Oops.
So I'm going to share an invitation with Superman.
Oh, I have a notification here from Batman. So I go down, I see that Batman has suggested an itinerary for me, a play date tomorrow, in fact. So there's a location, there's an itinerary. If I look at the itinerary, I see that Nuffle Bunny, the book, has some tips associated with it. So great, so I know how to, what our roles as parents are going to be. So this looks great. All of these different activities have tips associated with it. I'm going to accept this. And it's been added to my schedule. Now, the one thing that I wanted to modify about that play date was the location. Batman's mom suggested it take place at University of Toronto. I'm going to instead suggest that we do it at my place. So I'm going to go down to the chat button, find Batman, and I am going to instead suggest my place instead. I send that to Batman's mom.
Okay, I received the message. Changing a place? Sure.
She responds, sure, great. So now we have a play date set that's going to take place at my house. We've got the itinerary, we have the tips, and we've got a visual schedule to keep everybody on track.
Now here we also have something that I want to share as the key learnings. Well, there are something that we can follow in the future. Firstly, a clear view. Well, we have great specialists with clear expectations in, and so all of us can know what the app is like at the beginning, so we won't waste so much time about thinking the details. Secondly, it's a practical plans, and we foresee difficulties and estimate enough time for that. As for the communication part, we come up with new ideas and we'll share with each other immediately. And there are also something that we can improve in the future, like need more face-to-face meetings, and also we'd better do some real texting and feedback from parents of ASD children in the future. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, really nicely done. It seems very holistic. And I just want to see if I can correctly summarize where your expertise is coming from. Ian, I see 3 chunks of expertise. The algorithm, which you didn't talk much about, that does the matching. That's sort of...
That's based on my experience. I mean, there's a little bit of literature about who matches well in terms of peer play, but I've also done a lot of this in my office, and so even if it hasn't been published, I'm using some of what I've just done.
You do it manually, I guess.
Yeah.
And the notion of an itinerary, that's I was always wondering when you were telling me about this, what is the special sauce you bring? And one of them is that there is an itinerary, because these kids want to know what's going to happen, and so that planning.
Right, and so the activities are selected based on categories that the app suggests for them, right? So
based
different,
on the profile.
based on the profile. No, that's a constant, yeah.
And the tips are also from your practical experience?
Yes.
You're going to need to do this, and you're going to need to do that. That's really interesting.
And the tips are specific to the categories of activities.
Interesting. And so the only comment I would make is when I was looking at the itinerary, it had these names of books and things. It didn't say book.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't somebody who doesn't know what these things are need to know that it's a book or a puzzle or a... Shouldn't it say that?
These are set by the parents, so the parents know which activities. Because we have so many stuff here, so we can't present everything in 7 minutes. So we just created an activity and itinerary before that, so we can.
So when you create it, you know that it's a book.
Yes.
But the person viewing it doesn't know. It's like the receiver of the itinerary.
When they click on it and they see the tips will be specific to that category. So it will say book in the tips, but you're right, it doesn't say it as like a heading.
Okay, cool. Any comment, please? Yeah.
Do you envision that when the students get together to play, they're actually going to call each other by the nicknames?
Oh, that's a really good question. No, not at all. So that's why the chat function is so necessary, because then it's a private conversation between parents. So they can share their actual address, they can share their children's actual names, but we didn't want to have that on the server, so that just for peace of mind.
Just out of curiosity, why is it important for children with ASD to have like an itinerary?
Oh, that's a great question. So Kids with autism spectrum disorder have a hard time with change. There's this real kind of craving for sameness. And so when you're introducing a new activity, like transitioning away from the current activity to start a new activity, that can be really destabilizing for a child. And that's often when meltdowns happen. So by helping the child to predict what's coming and maybe even giving them a hand in swiping or choosing the activities, then they've got a bit more ownership over the activities to come. So it makes it a little bit easier for them.